Hi, this is Eddie White, the instructor for the motorcycle culture course, and I'm interviewing riders. And today I'm talking to Mitchell. Mitchell, thanks for helping us out with this.
Yeah, anytime. Glad to be here.
Sure. Okay, good. Mitchell, can we have your name and age, please?
Sure, my name is Mitchell Sequeira. I'm 27 years old.
And where do you live, Mitchell?
Right now I live in Casa Grande, Arizona.
Okay. And when did you first start riding?
First started riding, I believe, the day after my 18th birthday. I started getting into it beforehand, like I was looking at classes and getting ideas for motorcycles, but couldn't really do anything until my 18th birthday.
And at that point, how long had you been waiting around for 18 to? I guess you were in a hurry for 18 to come.
Oh yeah, it all started when I was like, what, 3 years old. Grandma bought me a Harley trike that actually made noises and turned on, and then from there I got a quad and a little bike. So I mean, naturally I've just been progressing towards that. So I've been
Yeah,
waiting for a long time.
great. And what type of bike do you ride now, Mitchell?
Right now I have a 2020 Honda CR 600 double R.
Okay. And do do you have one bike or two bikes?
Right now that's the one I primarily commute on. In my garage I have a 2019 Yamaha R6 and
Yeah.
then a 2012 Yamaha FZ6, but that one is not street legal.
Okay. Um, Mitchell, you those are sport bikes.
Yes, all
And
three.
I mean I got a bike at the end of last year, and it's a typical cruiser. And I guess I don't know, maybe it's suited to my age or generation or something. But why did you want a sport bike? Why not a cruiser or something else? What attracted you to sport bikes?
Um, Honestly, just the look. I mean, they looked awesome when I was first doing research. I mean, they look fast. I always wanted to do like MotoGP and track racing, so naturally I gravitated towards those more.
Yeah.
Um, I initially went my first bike, which is I still have the 2012 FC6. I was going to get a cruiser for my first bike until I walked in and I saw that and I changed my mind. And yes, my mom wasn't too happy about that one,
I
but
I
yeah.
see. Okay, great. Speaking of your mom, what do your family and friends think about you being a rider?
It's almost all split. All the males in my family think it's awesome. They all have ridden my bikes. They love when I get new ones because then they get to ride a new motorcycle. I just let my family and friends ride them. My mom's not particularly happy. She doesn't like it. She's always, protective and doesn't trust other people. But since the things I've done, I've taken classes, I became a riding
Mm.
instructor. That extra training kind of helps put her mind at ease, but she's still not a fan of it.
Yeah. Actually, one of the things we get into with the course, and of course we talk about the safety aspect, but I mean the book that we're using, and students are learning that, you know, uh, skillful riders, people who have taken courses and are good decision
Mhm.
makers, etc. For those group, the accident rate, etc., drops dramatically. You know, and
Mhm.
it's I guess a lot of people who get involved with accidents or trouble are people who are not in that group. So
Yeah, it definitely makes a difference. After becoming a writing instructor and seeing the content and how we actually learn the program on how to teach students, and after going back, because I'm teaching the same course, the basic writer course now that I took when I first started writing when I was 18,
yeah,
and I learned some more stuff taking it again after writing for 10 years. So it's crazy what you can always learn and do, and you unlearn bad habits and relearn good ones, and it makes
yeah,
a difference on the road.
that's good. Mitchell, I forgot to ask you about your work. So it's just what is your job? What do you do?
Other than being a riding instructor, I actually work at a motorcycle dealership in Scottsdale. It's called Go Easy Motorcycles. I
Yeah.
do motorcycle sales there.
So I mean, your motorcycles are a huge part of your life.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
Uh, Mitchell, I'll circle back and ask you a little bit more about the training that you do, but let me just keep going here for a little bit. Um, you mentioned commuting. How much riding do you do, Mitchell? Do you ride a lot?
Every single day, I commute on it, whether it's raining or sun. I just love it too much to stop. I have a car, I just don't drive it.
Yeah,
Um, my commute to Scottsdale, so the dealership is 65 miles one way,
yeah,
and then to the riding school, it's about to 55. So even on my days off from the dealership, I'm still commuting about 100 plus miles a day just to work.
yeah. And you clock in a lot of miles. Maybe
Mhm.
this was a later question, but maybe it's a good time to ask it now. What is your primary worry or concern when you ride?
Just other people. I mean, I can control myself. I can control my. I can see on the road and my surroundings where I'm aware. I don't usually get distracted easy, but I can't control other people, and that's probably my biggest worries. Has less care than I do about what's going on around them that can change career pretty quickly.
Yeah. But Mitchell, I guess because you're an experienced rider and also because you do training, um, uh, the warning bells, you got different things start triggering the warning bells, things that you see and stuff. So and lots of people I think like you can typically avoid things like that because you're looking out for them.
hmm It definitely, you notice things a lot quicker. Motorcycle, I mean, just from being on a bike, your senses are heightened.
Yeah.
But after taking more classes and looking for certain things to look for, definitely stands out, and you can set yourself up way earlier than most other people.
Yep, great. Mitchell, so you mentioned the two bikes that you have. Some people have a particular loyalty or sense of loyalty to a brand of bike. Do you have a sense of loyalty to a brand of bike or a type of bike?
I wouldn't say necessarily loyalty. I'm a Honda fan. My first quad was a Honda. My first bike was a Honda, and I love my last street bike was a Honda, like the one I have now. But for my first street bike, I started Yamaha, and then I went to Kawasaki, and then never had a Suzuki. But then I ended up with a Honda last, so I kind of went the other way.
There,
But not just more
there's
of
a
a fan.
yeah, but there's a trend here with Japanese bikes.
Yes, absolutely. Not that I don't like European bikes. It's just for the daily commuting, especially after working at the dealership, you learn a lot of things about motorcycles and
Yeah,
Japanese bikes. If you're gonna commute on them, less maintenance cost, and they will probably last longer than most European bikes.
I see. Interesting. Okay, and Mitchell, tell us about what do you wear when you ride in terms of protective gear, etc.
I wear all the gear all the time. It's a common phrase, but my gear is more urban style. I don't look like I'm going to the track, every single day. So all my gear is like armored hoodies or flannels or jackets where you wouldn't know that they're plated or armored unless you
Yeah.
actually touch them. Same with my jeans; they have plates in them. So I like looking like normal clothing.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Speaking of track, I was talking to a rider a couple days ago. He likes track riding, which I don't know too much about. Is that also something that you do?
It's something I'm starting to get into.
Yeah.
I've never really had a bike that I'm able to take to the track. It's always been my primary, but I'm working on getting a purely track bike only, and it's something that I've studied, I've looked at, and talked to other rider coaches, and my friends do it all the time, and it's something I really want to get into. It's a lot safer to go
Yeah.
fast there than anywhere else.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Mitchell, do you belong to any riding clubs or organizations, etc.?
No, not currently. I ride with some riding groups, just groups on Facebook or just friends, but I don't belong to anything officially.
So when you do ride, you mentioned riding. Some people are solo riders and they just prefer to
Mhm.
ride by themselves or with friends or a bit of both. Any preferences about who you ride with, if anybody?
Most of the time, I prefer to be solo. If you go in a group, I don't like it to be more than four, absolutely five. It's just the more people you add to the mix, the more problems that can go wrong. Um, and the more people you got to be responsible. Because when you're in a group, you're responsible for yourself, but what you do can affect the other people. So I don't like having to worry too much about what anyone else is doing.
Yeah. Okay, great. Um, Mitchell, we've been in at the beginning of the course I'm teaching, we start reading and considering why people ride, and there's different reasons why people ride, and So what would you say? What is your primary motivation? Why do you enjoy it so much, and why were you so eager to hit 18 and so you could ride?
Um, well, I mean, the cool factor. I mean, everyone thinks, like, yeah, you have a motorcycle, like, you're, pretty cool, or, badass. And
Mhm.
that was my first reason why I wanted to be that kid in high school, and, you know, be part of that group. But at the same time, after riding, like owning a motorcycle and riding, I feel like you're never more present in the moment and in tune with yourself than on a motorcycle. Like, nothing else will seem to matter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just you, the road, the environment, the bike. Like, there's nothing else in the world that matters. So I guess that feeling, I continue to ride and enjoy it so much.
Yeah, that's great. And that feeling that you just described so very well. I think that's part of where the freedom that's associated with riding, that certainly is connected to that. Okay.
There's no restriction. It's just you.
Yeah. Mitchell, do you think you'll ever quit riding motorcycles? If so, when?
I don't think I'll ever quit volunteering more if my boss says no, or there's unfortunate events. But I don't think I'll ever stop. That's something I plan on, graduating as I go through life from two-wheel to three-wheel vehicle, like something along those lines. I don't think I'll ever stop though.
Great. And final question, do you have a favorite or worst motorcycle experience you'd like to share?
Oh man. I mean, I've been in two accidents, and those are probably both tied for worst experience, just because I lost my favorite bike, and it hurt really bad. But as far as favorite experience, I think the best experience I had, I did a day trip all around Arizona. I think about it. I started at the top of South Mountain. I rode all the way to Flagstaff. We made it to Sedona, ended up in Glendale, and then I ended up riding home to Tucson with my buddy. I was on my bike for like 17 hours that day, and that was probably the best day I ever had on.
That's wonderful. It sounds great. It sounds like sounds like something I'd like to do too. Mitchell, just to wrap up, just talking about being a trainer. So I mean, you've been training people and teaching people to ride now. So how long have you been doing that?
Since July or August of last year.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm still fairly new, but
Yeah.
I've learned a lot myself, and I really enjoy it, and
Yeah.
encourage
So
everyone to take classes.
just two questions. One is how does it impact you as a rider? I mean, the fact that you're teaching it, does it also affect you as your own riding?
Absolutely. The things I teach, I have to practice, and I want to make sure that I, ride the same way that I teach. I don't want to do anything that's, contradictory to the things that people. Because if I see any students on the road, and, you know, hey, you told me not to do any of those things.
Yeah. So do you
It looks
do you think being a trainer is actually making you a better rider too?
percent. It definitely keeps me more grounded and on top of my game a little more than when I was just kind of more relaxed and didn't have that experience.
Yeah, great. Final question, Mitchell. Who do you see is coming for training? What kind of age groups, or they're male or female? Who do you see that is coming to learn how to ride or taking an advanced
Um,
course?
Honestly, it's the biggest range and age group I've seen. It's, sometimes it's, all males with one female, or, the last class I did was it was actually more female than male, all ages. There's kids from 15 all the way to the oldest person I've personally taught was there for his 80th birthday.
Yeah,
So it's awesome to see people that have been riding for years come back because they need their license, or they want to get that just experience again, and people who've never ridden want the same thing, and the stuff they take experienced and new, they all learn something new.
yeah, that's great. Wonderful. And I'm glad I got a chance to ask you a little bit about your training work too. So Mitchell,
Yeah,
thanks a lot for sharing your ideas and your experiences with us.
of course, anytime.
Okay.